And we're back. Another weekend has passed, and it's time for a new episode of Hartwig's Tech World. I'm Hartwig, and joining me virtually, as always, is my better half, Bianca.
Hello, everyone. I hope you all had a relaxing weekend. I'm ready to dive into this week's tech news. What have you got for us, Hartwig?
Today, we're starting with an EU regulation that's causing quite a stir, especially for Apple. You're familiar with the colorful energy labels on refrigerators and washing machines, right?
Sure, the A to G scale. The things that tell you how much power a device consumes?
Exactly. And as of last week, June 20th, they are also mandatory for smartphones and tablets in the EU. But they don't just rate energy efficiency. They also rate repairability, battery life, and even shock resistance. And well, while the new iPhone 16 comes off pretty well with a B grade, the situation for Apple's iPads looks disastrous.
Disastrous? Apple and bad grades? That doesn't sound right. What did they get?
The worst grade possible, G. Both the iPad Air and the iPad Pro.
Wait, a G? But iPads are famous for their incredibly long battery life. How can that be?
That's the thing. The battery is great, but that's not enough. The overall grade is dragged down by other factors: poor drop resistance and virtually no water protection. That and the high energy consumption of the displays ultimately leads to the low score.
And what does Apple say about this? They're not just going to take that lying down, are they?
Absolutely not. They've published a lengthy report sharply criticizing the EU's testing methods. It gets even more curious. The iPhone would have actually received the top grade, A, but Apple voluntarily downgraded it to B.
Wait, they gave themselves a worse grade? What's the point of that?
It's purely a precautionary measure. Apple says the EU's testing methods are sometimes vaguely worded and leave a lot of room for interpretation. Take the drop tests. The EU specifies dropping the device on wood and steel plates, but doesn't define the exact type of wood or steel. Depending on what an independent tester uses, the results can vary widely. To avoid that, they'd rather downgrade themselves.
Okay, that's an interesting strategy. So basically they're saying, your tests are flawed, so we'll take the worst grade to avoid being accused of fraud later.
That's exactly it. Apple still emphasizes its commitment to sustainability with recycled materials and long software updates, but they are demanding clearer and fairer testing guidelines from the EU. Whether anything will change remains to be seen.
I see. From EU regulations for corporations to the digital decisions of entire countries. What's happening there?
We're staying in the neighborhood, so to speak, and looking at Denmark. The digital ministry there just dropped a bombshell. They're kicking out Microsoft Office.
Completely? Are they all switching to Linux and open source software like Munich tried to do years ago?
Almost, but not quite. And that's the small but subtle difference, and perhaps a small consolation for Microsoft. They're sticking with Windows as the operating system, but the entire Office suite, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, will be replaced by the free alternative, LibreOffice. The plan is to have all employees switched over by the fall of 2025.
What's the motivation? Is it just about saving on license fees?
That's part of it, but the main reason is political. The key word is digital sovereignty. The Danish Minister for Digitalization said they don't want to be dependent on a few massive U.S. providers. It's not about digital nationalism, but about not being vulnerable and being able to act freely.
That makes sense. And I'm sure costs play a role too, right?
You bet. In Copenhagen, the cost of Microsoft software has increased by 72% in just 5 years. That's millions. And with the end of support for Windows 10 this October, many are facing a choice. Either pay a lot for extended security updates or buy new computers for Windows 11. A free Office alternative becomes very attractive in that context.
But aren't transitions like this risky? I remember hearing that the Linux project in Munich didn't go so well.
You're absolutely right. That's why the Danes are proceeding with caution. The transition is happening in phases, and they have a contingency plan. If serious problems arise, they will temporarily switch back to Microsoft. But the trend in Europe is clear. Schleswig-Holstein in Germany also wants to replace Microsoft Office with LibreOffice. They want to become more independent.
Fascinating. From office life to something significantly less serious, right?
Significantly less serious, but with major cult status. Our last topic is a middle finger to everyone. It's about an icon from the 90s video games, Duke Nukem.
Oh my God, Duke Nukem! The guy with the sunglasses, the muscles, and the one-liners. Hail to the king, baby! Is he still a thing?
The brand is, and now it's set to be adapted into a film. The producer Adi Shankar has secured the rights, and that's fantastic news for fans.
Why? Who is he?
He's the man behind the extremely successful and critically acclaimed Netflix animated series Castlevania and Devil May Cry. The man has proven he can do video game adaptations really well, and he understands the core of the brand.
But Duke Nukem is totally unacceptable by today's standards, isn't he? Over-the-top masculine, sexist. How can you adopt that today without causing a massive firestorm?
By doing it exactly like that. That's Shankar's plan. He said in an interview that his vision for Duke Nukem is a middle finger to everyone. He believes Duke Nukem can't be made by a large corporation because it would lose its soul. He wants to keep the character just as incorrect and provocative as he always was.
That's bold. So, no watered-down Duke Nukem for modern times?
Exactly. Shankar is known for not giving up creative control. He wants to respect the source material. And that's important with Duke Nukem. The series had a development hell that lasted forever after the huge success of Duke Nukem 3D in 1996. The sequel, Duke Nukem Forever, only came out in 2011 and was a gigantic disappointment for everyone.
I see. So a producer who understands the fans and doesn't want to bend the character could be the last hope for the brand.
That's right. It will definitely be interesting to see what he does with it. So, that was it for today. From iPads with bad grades to digital freedom fighters in Denmark, all the way to the rebirth of an action hero.
Whew, what a mix. So my takeaway for the week is I shouldn't drop my iPad. The Danish government has more backbone than I thought it did. And somewhere out there, a guy with a cigar is preparing for his comeback. Crazy world.
Perfectly summarized. We want to thank you all for listening. It means a lot to us that you join us week after week.
Exactly. And if you enjoyed it, you know the drill. Subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and tell your friends. It helps us out a ton.
Take care and have a great week. Until next time.
Bye.